Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
Up, my man Panozzo. How are you, sir?
Good. Back in action.
How bad do you miss Florida right now? Be honest with me. I know you're in Wisconsin. It's a little different.
I was ready to come home. Yeah, I don't mind the weather.
How was the Hall of Fame?
Hall of Fame was great. Yeah, it was a terrific night. Really good sized crowd. Carlo was terrific. His wife did his introduction. She was great. A lot of Hall of Famers there. Yeah, it's a really good event. Yeah, it was fun.
It'll look good. I haven't gotten a chance to go watch Carlo's video, but I will do it because I love seeing the authenticity I feel like from seeing some of these guys. So I'm excited to go in.
Yeah, no, he was terrific and she was terrific. Yeah. We'll have a video of the whole evening edited video coming out shortly within the next week. And we'll post that up on YouTube so everybody can watch the whole evening. But it was really good.
We got a lot of show to get to. Ian Harden in chat says, "What about Sergio winning against Federer?" I want to talk to you about the international, Mike. But before we do, we got some pretty special guests waiting on, so we're going to bring them on here momentarily. But we are going to get to the recap of the international, talk about Yapp, talk about Team USA, talk about the Hall of Fame some more because I want to pick your brain on that. It's just always a special night, man. And I like the fact that you get all these introverts to like actually speak. That's the coolest part.
It's
like saying much. Yeah. There was a lot of stuff going on, as you guys can imagine, in the pool world. There was a lot of stuff going on a few weeks ago, including kind of bringing back the bar table. Not kind of bringing back the bar table, Mike, in my opinion, which I just love, especially given the age that we're in currently. I like guys who aren't afraid to get out of their comfort zone and do things a little differently. So with that in mind, I want to bring in Scott Ryan, CEO of Ultimate Pool USA, and Nick Barron, president of Brunswick Billiards. Is that right, Nick?
Sure. Whatever you want, buddy.
Let's go with that. I like it.
Name a company. He's president.
Yeah. Let's start with the partnership, boys. How did all this come about between you two? Scott, obviously you guys are jumping back into league play and bringing the concept from overseas to the U.S. But how did that partnership with Brunswick come about, and how's it been up until this point?
Nick, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Well, I mean, I can give you the PG version, Mike, but
no,
happened over several pints of Guinness, I think.
Yeah.
No, it was actually, I think I got a hold of Scott through Damien with Jam Up, actually. He kind of put the wheels in motion for Scott and I to meet about, I was probably over a year ago, right?
Yeah.
Scott, we were looking to kind of find a league to partner with and do something different. And Scott was looking to have the greatest name in billiards to attach himself to. So we've just been going ever since. And Scott and Jordan are both outstanding partners. We have a great friendship as well. And so it's been a good, solid year. And we just had our first grand finals event. And so, yeah, it's been really fun. And got to join these guys in London last year about this time, Christmas time, and had some good times over there as well. So, yeah, I did thank Damien actually last week when I saw him for putting us together and kind of creating that partnership.
All right. Be honest with me, Scott. How tough is Nick to work with?
Yeah. I'll give the R-rated version if you'd like to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, for us, the strategic table partnership was massively important. And for us, we're the new kids on the block. So we wanted to work with somebody synonymous with billiards in the United States. And I think first and foremost is, in the UK in particular, if you talk about American tables, people talk about Brunswick. So it was quite interesting to kind of get the synergies to, what we try and offer is something modern and kind of not been seen in the world of certainly league pool play. So to work with a historical company like Brunswick, and I went to their head office, and I can honestly say I was so overwhelmed with the welcome that Nick gave me, the big banner that he put up for me when I turned up, which was actually a post-it note on a door. I'm just going to throw that out.
I was going to say, wait a minute, I've never seen a banner out there. I've been there a couple of times.
There was a post-it note on the door for me. And that kind of the relationship has been incredibly fun. We've spent time working together, developing the new bar box table, which people got to see firsthand in Cherokee a couple of weeks ago. And for me to hear that Brunswick pop of the pocket, it's like, for me, it's the iconic sound in billiards. And to work with somebody like Nick, it doesn't feel like work, and I hate blowing smoke up Nick's ass because he won't let me forget it next week or whatever when we're talking about something. But the reality is, great partnerships is where you can have open and honest dialogue. And certainly when I came to Brunswick head office, and we spoke about some of the little differentiators we wanted on the table, Nick and and they are an incredible bunch of guys to work with. They were all ears. So when you've got a partnership like that, and let me throw this out there, it's really important to get the feel of the table right. And everybody who works, who is employed by Ultimate Pool USA, has been a player of some sort at one time or another. Where some of us have competed at a decent level, not me. And the only guy in the whole team who doesn't really play pool is Jordan, but he's starting to enjoy playing American pool. So, you're going to see extra touches that have been kind of, that players will enjoy. And I think that the pros that played on the table were absolutely overwhelmed with how decent the table was to play on. So well done, Nick. You did a good job.
What do you say, Mike?
I just, I enjoyed all the buzz around the events, particularly this last one in Cherokee. Was just there was just a lot of activity online, a lot of talk about, a lot of buzz around it, a lot of players there. I know that it's pre-Moscone, and there were people saying, "What are these guys doing playing on bar boxes and whatever?" But you could tell they were having fun doing it. There were so many opportunities to play, and it's a different level, different element of excitement to tournaments and games that people are playing these days, which is never a bad thing. The competition is good, the excitement's good, the atmosphere, the vibe. That's what you want. You want something different, a little. It's not just another bar table tournament. It has a different feel. It has its own identity, which is fun.
Something I'd like to add in relation to it, right? And this is really important. So it was our first grand finals event, and we paid out $438,000 at that event. So you had an amateur league team go out there and win $100,000, which for me was the biggest buzz of it all. We paid out dollars, over $250,000 just for the amateur team 8-ball event. The other thing that's really key for us is we have a social and ethical responsibility to American pool. And I've said this a few times. And Mike, you wanted some heat on the show, so I'm going to give it to you. America, unfortunately, has had multiple lost generations of talent and pool players. And the reality is we all start, and it doesn't matter what level you achieve in life, is generally you're going to be touched by league pool at one part in your life. Now, the biggest statistic to come out of our very first grand finals, is fantastic as it is to have your Shane Van Bonings, your Justin Bergmans, etc. playing. That stuff's great. And to give amateurs the opportunity to mingle with those pros. And believe me, those pros have a good time at our events. That's why we don't ask them to come. They come because they have a great time at the events. And that for us is a big tick in the box. But the big thing for me, and this was the best statistic to come out of Cherokee for me, the average age of the 10-ball team that won that tournament was 24 years old. Now, if we're not moving the needle in terms of introducing young people into pool through bar box billiards or whatever, and by the way, our league isn't just played on bar boxes. We choose to play bar box at the events because that's our home. But you can play Ultimate Pool USA on a 9-foot table. But I will say this to you: Ultimate Pool USA if it achieves 50% of what we want it to achieve, you're going to carve out new generations of players in the United States. And I mean players that are learning how to play in proper match conditions, to play to a shot clock from day one, not be bored out of the game in terms of somebody taking 5 hours over a shot, which, to be honest with you, turned me off league, Paul, when I'm sat there watching some guy chalk his cue for 3 minutes. I'm dying inside.
Amen to that, buddy. Yeah.
So we've got to understand that we don't consume things like we did. I mean, when I was playing snooker years ago, I'd pop the black off the spot 100 times and not care because I didn't have a mobile phone in my hand to entertain me while I was doing that. And the big thing about we've got to be in tune with new generations of players who they don't have the same attention span that we might have had. I'm going to exclude you from this, Mike, because you look a little bit younger. But they don't have the same attention span that maybe I had when I was a kid, where I would just play lineup in a billiard hall for 3 or 4 hours and think that was the best entertainment in life. We have to understand that we're a different generation. And if we want to encourage young people to play, we've got to give them a format which they can play in. But on the flip side of that, we actually have an older generation that are enjoying not overthinking, and and especially for the lower speed players, watching their improvement as they go, for me is a big tick in the box of what Ultimate Pool USA is trying to achieve. And I'm really sorry for that rant, but I just needed to get that out.
No, you're good. I appreciate the rant. It's always welcome.
Yeah. You can only imagine you can only imagine the attention span of my generation.
You're the youngest of all of us, so super short, right, Mike?
He's young at heart, that's for sure. Nick, I want to mention the table for a minute because a lot of the players were playing on the Gold Crown coin on the outside. But what was it like debuting the Tournament Elite table out there on center stage? And how nervous were you, if at all, for it kind of having that grand debut?
No, it was good. We made a great call and obviously worked with Scott and his team to kind of make that decision to put that table on the main stage. And I don't think it could have gone any better. Maybe a few little tweaks here and there, but other than that, we brought the table to just show and have people play on. I mean, honestly, it had a lot of prototype parts on it still. And to have it perform at that level, I get goosebumps thinking about it, because that literally is, it's like my daughter, my dog, and then that bar table in my of things that are really important in my life at this moment in time. That table to me is going to be the next generation for Brunswick, in my opinion. And I think the first night we were in there before play, Shane Van Boning was in there just absolutely smashing balls into the pocket. And I was just like, oh boy, what's he going to think? And he kind of had a little smirk on his face every time he hit that ball in the pocket, and it made that distinct Gold Crown noise. And so I knew we were going to be on the right track after that happened. So kudos to my team. I mean, they've done a lot of testing on this table, and Scott and his team have all come up and cycled through that exact table and testing it and shaking it out, taking things that we didn't like about the Gold Crown coin and really changing it all over. And so for me, it was a huge success. I couldn't have asked for a better opportunity and a better stage to show that table on. And I was really proud of the Gold Crown coins. That's kind of the first generation that Brunswick tried to get into the coin op market with. Definitely proud of how those played. We got a lot of good feedback on those. They are meant to have big pockets and play fast, and that's what they're for. So as we roll out of that generation, those tables are all gone, and we're going to come in with this new Tournament Elite generation. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And just to touch on what Scott said, I mean, I think from my perspective too, like, why I partnered with Ultimate Pool is exactly what he said. Like, we've got to attack a new generation. We have to attack the way the game is played. And for me personally, that's what I saw in our partnership with Ultimate Pool, was a chance to sort of, attach ourselves to something that's new and interesting. And as we continue down the journey.
But it was a bit of an unknown, right? I mean, it's a game that we all know, but played differently, right? And so I'm sure there was a little bit of like, of question marks there. Scott, what was it like seeing the fans' reaction for putting on your first nationals? I saw a video with Emily Duddy posting some lady with her kid on her back, which I thought was great, especially as a father. You know what I mean? Like, what was it like seeing everyone go out there and just enjoy themselves, night in and night out there in Cherokee?
Well, that we're creating something more than a pool league. You're not going to catch any corporate stiffs at any events. So I don't think we own a suit between the board, if I'm being brutally honest. And if that's your thing, you want to be the guy in a suit at the, full of piss and importance, then you go ahead and you be that guy. That's not us. There's a very family feel at Ultimate Pool USA. And the biggest thing for us, and this was the coolest thing, was seeing how many juniors didn't just turn up to play, that turned up to spectate, that turned up to meet their heroes, that turned up, we did something really cool, which was, and, my finance director, gave me a little shrug of the shoulders, but I said, I don't care, because this is about the players. We didn't charge anybody for practice. Now, that's a racket at a lot of the pool events, national events that go on, is they want people to dump their quarters in and go ahead and go from there. So it was really important for us to put those little nuances into the event where, we're not going to try and railroad you for every dollar that we can extract out you. Actually, we earn enough money as a business without the need for the extra $20,000. And that's the kind of environment that we've created. So it was a very, very, very proud moment when you have little kids coming about, getting a picture with Justin Bergman, and that's who they want to be next, or they want to be SVB or Tyler Steyer, or even some of the UK guys that came over. So we're not just building a pool league, we're building a movement. And I know that sounds really cheesy and it sounds really cliched, but those events aren't just and anybody who goes to an Ultimate Pool USA event will tell you, those events aren't your typical kind of get you in, get you out event. They're events where people want to stay, spectate, and be part of it. So long may that continue.
Nick, I saw the Gold Crown 7 make an appearance out there. How was it having fans and just spectators hanging out, hitting balls? I saw Savannah out there playing as well. What was it like around the booth?
I couldn't even get a shot in on the table, to be honest. Not that you want to see that, Mike, but
no, you definitely. I've seen enough.
I still can't get the butt into the queue to work right. I don't know what's going on, but it was jam packed the entire time, and I think people just were shocked. We brought the white version out with gray cloth, and it just popped in that stage. We couldn't we had to create a waiting list. Honestly, we had so many kids playing on it. We had so many people just wanting to experience that new table. And again, I get goosebumps because I really don't think we could have had a better opportunity to show off that table and the bar table at an event with 1,200 plus people. Just great social media that was going on. And I don't know. Again, it's my baby, but I felt like we got a lot of really positive reviews. I mean, I don't think there was one negative review that we heard out there for the Gold Crown 7. So it was great to have that table out there and really be tournament tested, if you will. And that wasn't even the table in the tournament. It wasn't the table in the TV area. It was just there to show off and for people to just smash balls on and play and maybe do some gambling in the evening. I'm not sure. I heard rumor, but
we don't allow gambling at our events. So that's a big thing.
Hear no evil, see no evil, Scott.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Yeah. If I didn't know about it, then it didn't happen. But
nope.
That's it. That's another thing from the responsibility thing. I get a lot of shit about not allowing Calcuttas at my events. But we've learned from what we've seen in the UK that the Calcuttas can compromise a performance in a tournament, and it's really important. We're trying to teach good habits and good skills, and kind of, even if you're a league player, there's no reason why you can't feel like a professional.
Oh boy, Mike, what do you got?
No, I'm just curious. Looking towards 2026. What does the landscape look like? What are the big goals for 26, things that are on the calendar, ideas you're still tossing around?
Yeah, I mean, 2026 is going to be is going to have huge exponential growth in terms of the business. So in terms of the long-term plans is the actual goal for me, and then I can resign from my position as CEO of Ultimate Pool USA, is to hand out $1 million check at nationals. And the one thing that kind of people may not realize about Ultimate Pool USA, yes, we handed out $100,000 to the first place team, but as we grow, that check will exponentially grow. So dependent on our growth, so say I had 250,000 players as an example, I'd be paying out over $3 million to an amateur pool team. Now, for me, that's where you get into the life-changing sums of money debate. And from our perspective, that's the dream. So when we pay out $1 million, I can come on here and I can give you my resignation speech to let you know where we're going. But the plan is next year is to run multiple events. So our first event will be in March. And that will be announced this week. But those are open events, and all roads lead to nationals in November 2026. So from our perspective, and I'll be honest, I've never kind of doubted that. I've never the open events are our marketing. And they will always be our marketing, but they give people the opportunity to experience what the Ultimate Pool kind of league format is all about. So, when I could spend my marketing money in Facebook ads, I could spend it giving away a Lamborghini, or I could spend it doing whatever. But I think for us, it's putting the product to people, and the viewing figures are exceptional. So Nick, you'll be pleased to know this. We've just got the viewing figures back for grand finals. So we did 1.1 million live viewers for the nationals event, which for us is I always wanted to break the million viewers bracket. That's what we've done. And to be honest with you, we did have some issues with scheduling at the event. And our open final went off at 4 a.m. in the morning, and to see like 4,000 or 5,000 people watching live at that time is telling me we're doing something right, because the product is that good. You don't go to bed. You'll set up and watch it. And the open final was an absolutely unbelievable exhibition of pool. And to see Justin Bergman, for us to be able to bring Justin Bergman back out of the wilderness, you guys will see that he's played pretty much every event for us,
which is not easy to do.
It's not, but he's very much a pivotal part of the movement. He's a guy who, he was fed up with pool, and that's the reality. I've had hours long conversations with Justin. He was burnt out, fed up with pool, and he kind of said that all the time I'm having fun at your events, I'll be here. And God bless him, he's been at every event since July of last year. And I know he has no plans not to attend our events in the future. But America's missing a trick with Justin. He for me, particularly at 8-ball, if you watch that guy's patterns on an 8-ball table, it's like watching the Matrix. It's ridiculous the way he works a finish out. And I just, for me, he's a bit of a he's one that has gone off the map. But just to get him out there and watch him play, it's a big thrill for us all. We're all fans of pool too, and to see Justin back out there doing what he does best is a big thrill for us all.
I think it gave people it increased the people being intrigued and curious by it. But Absolutely. At the end of the day, the product has been standing on its own, which has been great. I've always sitting there sweating, amateur players and some of my favorite professionals. And and the other thing about it, Scott, that I really appreciate is just the different dynamics that you guys are doing. And I know you mentioned scheduling being a bit of an issue, but I thoroughly appreciate seeing the mixed doubles and the mixed pairs, and seeing, Tom and Shane go and be on the same team, which I thought was great. But it's we don't get that kind of outside the box thinking. What was the inspiration behind it? And are we going to see more of that in your events throughout the country going forward?
My dream is to see the Ultimate Pool UK top pros play the Ultimate Pool US top pros at 8-ball. I think it's a far more finely balanced match than what I see in other UK versus Europe events, because the conditions at an ultimate pool event are. And I'm going to say something else, and I'm going to give you this one too. We had 4-inch pockets at our first 2 events. So at Shreveport, which you attended, buddy, and in Kansas City, we had 4-inch pockets, and it was a struggle for the US players, if I'm honest. And every event, all 4 events were won by UK players. Yeah. So we took the decision to open the pockets up ever so slightly to 4.25. And what happened? Well, just non-stop US winners. Because what I've learned about the game since I've been trawling around America is for me you guys play the game of 8. You guys play the pockets differently than we do in Europe. The way that you use the angles is totally different from the way we're brought up to play in Europe. So tighter pockets will always favor European players, in my opinion.
I'm with you, Scott. If it's on 4-inch pockets, give me UK all day. Give me Jack and Jordan. Give me all those boys. Chris, bring them all over. I'm on Team UK if that's the case. Yeah, no, I love the energy you guys are bringing. It's been a lot of fun being able to watch like the growth over the last just year and a half. And Scott, if people want to get a hold of you in terms of league, I know you mentioned before we went on air, you have a bunch of league inquiries to go through. Yep. How can they get a hold of you, and where would they reach out?
Just go to our Facebook page and send a message to the Facebook page. Our social media guys make sure that they get to the relevant people that they need to. But for me, is like, if you have an ultimate pool league in your area, just go out and watch, and you'll see the difference. Like, the league format is unbelievable, and I'm not kidding you. I'm signed up to a league team, and I'm signed up to a league team because I genuinely enjoy playing the format, and nothing's been able to get me to play pool for years. But I enjoy the league format so much, and there is nothing better than watching that clock run down when you can see it in front of you and thinking, shit, I've got to make this clearance in 38 seconds or I'm done. And it makes your heart go. And as a pool player, that's what we want. I hated being a pool player and just turning up and not even caring whether I won or I lost. Whereas now this is kind of giving me as a pool player an opportunity to go out and play pool, enjoy it, and also get done at a reasonable hour. So I wake at like 4:30 every morning. So a league night that's run until 1-2 a.m. is no good for me. So if I know that my match is 30 minutes, I can give that 30 minutes. And guess what? Quite often I can stay and watch the rest of my guys play and still wake up at 4:30 in the morning. Not hungover, Nick, I might add.
That remains to be seen, Scott. The jury's still out there, buddy. Hey, Nick, if people want to get a hold of you for the Tournament Elite Gold Crown Coin or the Gold Crown 7, which is my favorite, how can they get a hold of you, buddy?
Yeah, I think the easiest, just, BrunswickBilliards.com. Hit us up on our Facebook page too. We're going to be, the Gold Crown 7 is officially out. We'll be making those deliveries in December.
Nice.
The tournament table will be probably, I don't want to tell with Scott on the camera, I'll hide him, but hopefully we're talking first quarter of next year. I told a lot of people at the tournament, we're never going to put a product out. Well, as long as I'm as the president of Brunswick, we're not going to put a product out that we're not 100% behind. And so we just need to keep tweaking it and making sure it's perfect. And we're really, really close. So I'm excited for that one to come out. Look for it like Q1 next year. So.
All right. So what I want to do is, Nick, when that's ready to come out, I want to bring you back on the show. And Scott, ahead of Ultimate Pool USA 2026 in March, I want to bring you back on as well. Kind of
absolutely, no problem.
Oh, listen, I love what you guys are doing. Obviously, I love the partnership, and I'm a bit biased, but like I said, I love guys who shoot you straight. I love authenticity, and I love just pure passion. You guys certainly check off all those boxes. So, boys, I'm going to let you go for now. Hopefully, you get to enjoy some Thanksgiving. Scott, enjoy some good American Thanksgiving. All right,
I'm trying my best.
There you go.
He's more American than any of us. I will guarantee you that. This guy, don't let him fool you with that.
Yeah, seriously. Let's talk MLB next time.
I like it. And now you're speaking Panozo's language too. Nick, I'll see you next week, my man.
Yes, cool. Sir. Yeah, hit me up, brother. Good to see you. Mike, great to see you, my friend.
Take care. See you, Nick.
Cheers, guys.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, Scott.
All right, Mike. Well, that was pretty fun, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what this presents next year. Uh, there's certainly a lot of excitement around it, and I was going to mention what Raymond kind of mentioned in here, the difference between 4-inch pockets and slightly larger pockets is how you play the game. It's not really who's a better player. It's what the game, how the pockets allow you to play the game, right?
Sure.
And so because the Americans do use that little extra room in the pocket to create to broaden the game, to broaden
you can
the
say they
scope
don't
of
shoot
what
it
they
straight.
do. You still got to shoot straight. Yeah, well, and realistically, you still have to hit the right. Bigger pocket doesn't mean that you can still get the cue ball anywhere you want by hitting any part of the pocket. No, if you're playing it a certain way, you still have to hit the pocket a certain spot, right? So, but it's obviously fun and obviously creating a lot of buzz and excitement. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes next year. Tournament schedules everywhere just seem to be piling up and piling up and piling up. So it's going to be interesting to see who's affected by what appears to be just massive growth in various tournaments around the country and around the world. So we'll see what 2026 brings.
Well, I love the and the options for that matter, and so that part I can appreciate. Plus, being able to see some of these guys like a Justin and even some of the players of a previous generation. You know what I mean? It was cool seeing like Hatch and Rodney go out there and do some damage. I love the different dynamics, like I mentioned before, bringing over the UK guys as a part of the mix, seeing the women involved as well. And plus, when you can get amateurs and professionals in the same room, I feel like it can bring a different type of energy, and that's something that having been to a lot of tournaments all over the world, Mike, that was something I always appreciated about the Rio, was because you had that partnership that allowed for amateur league players to go out there and get exposed to professional style events. And then when you mix that in with a fun format, you know what I mean, that's different, and you're on your toes, literally running around the table depending on the shot clock. It's like it can create some fireworks. It was great bringing both these guys on. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the nationals. I loved, and I didn't think I would, because I was like, bar tables, pros, blah blah blah, but it was just cool seeing all the swings, back and forth, seeing how valuable one mistake was, how valuable the break was, how valuable that things kind of shifted from left to right. And it just reminds me of sports, Mike, and so kudos to them. And I love the honesty, man, like the giving back to the players, all that stuff, man, and putting the experience first and owning up to whether it was scheduling issues or whatever. It's like those guys are looking to improve, and you got to at least respect it, if nothing else,
Yeah. Someone's asking about the ball sets. Did they use the casino balls in Cherokee?
I'm not sure. That probably would have been more of a Nick question. I'm assuming they would have been those Centennial looking ones, but I'm not 100% to be honest with you. So, but it was, like I said, even though like there's the WNT pro side, and we're gonna get to the International Open here in just a second, and it's like I love having this option of regional players to be able to show up, get showcased. You get to see some cool talent, and in a fun way. So the one thing that I was real, like, I don't want to say concerned about, but and even now, he says Centennials were used. The Shane Thompson, he would know, that's for sure. It was that, like, the gap between their last event versus their nationals, and the same thing from now until March. But then it seemed like by the time it came time for it to be showtime, the excitement and the buzz was there. So yeah, super cool, man, super cool. So anyhow, Mike, let's jump on into the International Open. I don't know where you want to begin. I'll kind of let you lead the way. What was the first thing you want to jump into?
There was a lot going on down there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so.
Bigfoot and the one pocket and the straight pool and then the 9-ball. So there was a lot going down there. The field for 9-ball was really strong. I mean, there were obviously some, the Team Europe players weren't there, and there were a number of other players who weren't there. Specific, predominantly Asian players were not. Were not, there. So, it was still really strong fields, and some really, really good play in all the events. I mean, the straight pool was fun. Seeing Torsten win the straight pool. Victor had a couple high run day, had a big high run. The one pocket final was just out of control. I don't know if you saw it or if you haven't, go find the video and look at it.
I haven't, but I intend to go watch it. And the only reason, listen, I get kind of conflicted when it comes to one pocket on big pockets and especially when you then further add in on a TV table where it's got that much more slide and that much more forgiveness and all these things. But Collins actually was the one that texted me, and he was like, if you didn't get to see that final, you need to go back and rewatch it. And for him, and not to say I don't appreciate your opinion, obviously I respect it a lot, but it was like he was just saying, man, that comeback was just nuts. And I still haven't been able to see it, but I intend to. And one pocket is the one game that I can really just go back and I can watch a rerun, unlike other sports. Just because I can just appreciate what they're trying to do versus what.
Yeah. Well, it was everything you'd want. I mean, Justin was up 2-0 and had the case balls just standing right in front of him. It was not a hard shot. Yeah. And from there, things went completely sideways for him. And then it got down to the last rack in the last set, and there were 35 balls up table. It was,
I love the up table game. It's time to grind, Mike.
You look at it, you're thinking we're going to be here till tomorrow after. But kudos to Superman for hanging in there, grinding, and then making it through. That was a wild finale for sure. Amazing matches. The level of play in the 9-ball, I thought, was really high. There were a lot of, big performances, multiple runouts in a set and from the break, which was not, hasn't been all that normal in the past year. It doesn't seem like, but really good performances. I mean, someone already mentioned the Skyler Yapp match where Skyler shot, 950 and lost. It's just crazy stuff.
I want to just pick up on that for a minute, Mike, because that matchup in particular was amazing, and it was very telling for me for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, Yapp, is just on a different planet right now. In the season that he's had, even though you don't have the World Pool Championship on there, right? And that's kind of the gold. I mean, that's not kind of that's the gold standard. It's you can't argue just the guy's dominance over the last year has just been unbelievable.
Oh yeah, best player in the world. But, sure.
Matt Poland mentions the broadcast. I do want to give some credit to Pat Fleming and the team because I do appreciate them putting it on for free on YouTube. Which is very different, especially considering the big price they used to put on their events prior to, I think, around $80. So big appreciation for that. It allowed just so many people to go and watch and sweat everything. And it was from beginning to end, including the Bigfoot. And I know the Bigfoot didn't have the field that we were hoping for a number of reasons, but nevertheless, just being open and willing to put it there on a free platform is phenomenal. So big kudos to that. But the one thing about that Sky match, Mike, Sky played really fucking good. And I was very surprised at the standard of play that I saw from him. But more importantly, Mike, and I want to talk about Team USA here in a minute, is that I love the fact that he gave a shit afterwards. If you saw the interview following, you can tell he was visibly annoyed and upset by losing. And I know he's still that good energy kind of guy, but the one thing we've always questioned about him is how much passion does he have for what he's trying to accomplish? You know what I mean? And so, but I don't know what your thought was on the way he played, Mike, but for me, that was just a really big takeaway. And it was just a brutal ending for him too, especially if you're a Sky fan. It was a brutal ending,
but he played great through the whole event. I mean, that was the most encouraging thing. He just didn't have this one, light bulb match. He really played well. I mean, he torched Jonas. He won some big matches, and he looked like he was really, really dialed in, really playing good. is what you want to see ahead of Moscone Cup. And during his match against Yapp, you could see, all the other Team USA players sitting there in his corner. That was kind of cool to see. It was kind of fun.
It felt like the Moscone, month. Seeing Team USA watch another Team USA member lose
Yeah.
Hill. That was like it's very fitting for the season. You know what I mean? Like that's what you. I'm just kidding. It was just low hanging fruit.
But yeah, I mean, and a big part of it is someone just mentioned here was alternate break.
I loved it, Mike, and you know me, I love seeing the packages and the runouts and whatever. But I thoroughly appreciated the alternate break.
Yeah, no, and we talk about this all the time, and I beat it's a dead horse that I keep whacking, but I like taking some of these big events and tweaking them just a little bit. I don't want template stuff where everything has to be the same rules and the same outcome. I said, I've always told Pat I'd love for him to go back to the old U.S. Open and run it double elimination all the way to the title match. I would love to see one tournament a year like that. I love that he went to alternate break. Some players don't like it, but they understand. You can see by the matches, it was just you could have a bunch of break and runs, but you didn't own the break. It didn't mean you were running away with the match. I mean, Sky had 6 or 7 runouts from the break in that match against Yapp, and here it was. It was 9-9, or whatever. It went to the hill. So I like differently like that, and I thought the alternate break was for this event was really cool.
I loved it, Mike. Personally, it allowed for me to stay engaged even if there was a 2 or 3 game lead, because I knew that it could be made up really quickly. I felt like it kept pressure throughout. It allowed me to see more of a balance between the players, I should say. So that part I really appreciated as well. And it made for some exciting finishes also, and so I'm not saying I would love it for every event, but I would love and maybe it's me being victim of the moment here, but I would really love to see this on some tight equipment and bring back a triangle rack and then have it be alternate break, and let's see how that changes things, because I love seeing a little bit of the moving part, but those guys were making the one ball at a super high clip, especially towards the end of the event. But I don't want to see guys going and inspecting the rack. It was brutal watching Federer go out there, especially during the Bigfoot, go out there and coach the guy on how to rack the balls the way that he wanted. Let him go out there, whatever will be, and just, may the best man win. But yeah, no, they did a really good job there in that aspect. And like I said, for that Sky match in particular, that was the one for me that it got me hooked, and I didn't get to watch. I get conflicted when it comes to watching good matches, you know what I mean? Or watching a tournament, especially early on. But when I saw that one pop up, I was like, I got to watch that one. I just want to see where they were at. But on the note of Sky, Mike, how do you think Team USA looked? Obviously, the Europeans weren't there. They were there. They were in Scotland getting ready for Team USA. I kind of joked a little bit saying, Team USA was practicing on bar boxes while Team Europe sparring with, some Europeans. But what was your opinion on the way that Team USA performed as a whole, and what were some things that were kind of standing out to you?
They didn't play poorly. I mean, Jesus caught Shane. Federer losing to Sergio was a big surprise. I thought Tyler played pretty strong. Saw Billy lose a tight match to Jeremy Sosi, and I don't know. The main thing to me is, what were they doing? They had an Airbnb together, right? And so they were trying to create this kind of team bond. I don't know what they were doing other than showing up for their matches at different times of the day. So I don't know if they were doing anything controlled outside of their match play. But at least they were hanging together, supporting each other through the week. Team Europe is over in Scotland playing, a bunch of English 8-ball players, I guess. I don't know, and learning how to golf. So I don't know. It's after the Moscone Cup's over, whoever wins will say that their approach to it was better than the other team. So,
well, here, the one thing that look, the Team Europe one, I love the approach in the sense that like Jason isn't taking it for granted. Like he's giving it the respect at least that it deserves. Now, obviously there's better players that they can be sparring with, you know what I mean? But you still got some pretty class players out there in their own right. I can't come to mind. There's two in particular that I'm really big fans of out there. But anyway, and the golfing and extracurricular, I've heard that they've been doing a lot of team bonding stuff. You know what I mean? And we talked about chemistry all the time and how valuable that is, especially in that team environment. Now we already know what their skill set is, Mike. We already know what their yearly accomplishments are. Which is far bigger than what the Americans are. So for them to put an emphasis on being able to gel and bond, and to be honest with you, especially given where Fran finished, them skipping this event may end up coming to bite them individually back in the ass, in another 12 months from now. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
No, there's no doubt. They skipped out
they're
on
buying into it. They're buying into the process, though, Mike.
Yeah, yeah. No, they are going to buy into the process, and it's I think that bonding is good to teach young guys like Moritz and Pius what that means and to see if it's a difference. And I think it will help them, in the event. But still, you got to get out there and play pool and break and run and make the ball. So whether they have kumbaya moments and all learn how to golf now, it's still gonna they're still gonna have to go out on the table and perform.
Jim says Team Europe's in London already at a secret location with the perfect table, getting ready. Yeah, I mean, look, they're just.
There you go. Then we shouldn't show up. We shouldn't show up.
Well, there's a good chance they may not show up anyway, Mike, outside of being in the arena. You know what I mean? So, which we've seen before in years past. No, look, for me, it was. Look, there was a lot of. I don't want to say disappointment because, like it was cool seeing some upsets like Federer and Sergio. That was cool, and that's something that big pockets and alternate breaks going to go and lend itself to, like a bit of that chaos, which I can appreciate. But I wanted to see more of a push from the secondary guys. I wanted to see more from Tyler, more from Billy. Shane losing to Jesus. Listen, Jesus has been on a tear for a few months now, and for me, he's on here, and Shane is just going to be Shane no matter what. But like these guys who have a lot of question marks and who have, and who seem like are taking the opinions online a little personal, I would have just rather have seen performance. You know what I mean? And that was something that was a bit, especially on big pockets. Like it's, I still don't know if it'll go and translate when you go and play on a 4-inch pocket there in Ali Pali, but at least it'll give some hope and optimism where like it didn't really feel that way, especially leading into it. Now I know I said obviously Thanksgiving is not important for Europeans for the obvious reasons, but even though like we think these guys are stealing, a lot of people do think that they are stealing, especially considering it's the same team compared to last year. It's like they're still hammering down when it comes to practice. They're still going and hammering down when it comes to getting dialed in, figuring out what lineups are going to work for each other. Team USA doesn't necessarily have that problem in terms of who's going to go and work well together or what their chemistry is going to be like, but there's a gap and a difference in terms of the level of play, Mike, and that's the part for me outside of Sky, because Sky for me was a big positive, and if I can get that same Sky out of him, man, as long as Federer and Shane show up, and if that same Sky shows up there, okay, they got a puncher's chance. You know what I mean? But
well, I mean, Federer's is big. Federer, you talk about question marks like a Tyler and a Billy. I mean, Federer went through the whole year didn't win a tournament. So and made a lot more early exits than we've ever seen him make before. So
especially in the last 6 months, Mike.
What's that?
I said especially in the last 6 months.
Yeah. So he reached those 2 finals back to back of the biggest tournaments there are. So he was doing something right, but the consistency, it's not even he's not even in the ball yard so far. So. And considering his first couple of years as a Mosconi Cup have exactly swimmingly, so yeah.
When he was sitting on all gears, Mike, I mean, he didn't show up either, like you mentioned. You know what I mean? And I know you said it differently, but that's the part. And on the note of Federer, that's the part that would be concerning if I'm a Team USA fan.
Yeah.
And so, but we know what the ceiling is. That's the thing, and that's the part where I feel like. It's different. We hold players like Federer and players like Shane to a different standard. And the reason why we do is because of their accomplishments, and we've seen them become forces and generational talents that are far and few between. They're the exception, not the standard. You know what I mean? But at a certain point, you got to go and show up in December too. You know what I mean? So that's the other thing. And so, yeah, I don't know. The optimism level for me, and like I posted on Windows Open, just isn't necessarily any higher outside of seeing Sky, you know. And so Shane, I know what I'm going to get out of Shane. For me, it'll be a big toss of the coin. His break has never been that great in this format anyway. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's and the Europeans have always broken better. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's not the most optimistic I've ever been when it comes to the Americans. That's for sure. But one part, and a lot of comments in the chat regarding the commentary. Mike, I don't know if you got to see or hear Mike Siegel out there. I know you're good buddies with him, another Hall of Famer as well. But man, that commentary was rough. It was.
I was sitting with
brutally rough.
A name drop and sitting with Jeanette and Nick Varner watching the final, and we had our headsets on, and it was comical.
Yeah.
So we'll spend like a half an hour talking about some women's tennis match, but you know, yeah, it's just different. You know, some of the commentary was good. I did enjoy when Siegel and Nick Varner were in the booth at the same time because they know each other so long, and Nick knows how to you know, reel smite a little bit and have some.
I love how like the one thing I appreciate about Nick being in there was that there was times where he like, to your point, he wasn't going to get riled up by it one way or the other. Like, and that was the part where he just kind of ignored the ridiculousness of that. I just thoroughly appreciated about Nick. And it was all about the balance for me, Mike, because hearing Jerry McWhorter in there with him was good, because Jerry kind of was trying to keep him on a tightrope at times and was trying to keep him like more focused. You know, Mark Wilson was brutal in there because it seemed like he was like the entire time. You know what I mean? And couldn't get a word in.
Struggle for him. I mean, he's so used to handling it so professionally, and then he's got Mike that he's got to try to like fade. That's a little bit tough to do. I know Matt talking about, you know, doesn't know the players, and it is. I mean, I thought the same thing. You know, Mike, one of the greatest players ever, but you know, you don't want someone in the booth for the final matches who basically talking about Sanchez Ruiz like he's seeing him for the first time in his life. So, you know, you like someone to be a little more prepared on who the players are and what their strengths are, what their history is, and whatever. I mean, you know, so like anything, I try to pick what I can out of it that I enjoyed or thought was interesting. I thought some of them was actually kind of interesting in terms of, you know, the various options that someone has on his shots. I see so many matches where the commentator says, well, this is the shot he's got to take. No, there's all sorts of options all the time. And so, you know, a lot of Mike's stuff is just thinking out loud, like he's looking at the table. What would I do here? I could do this. I could do that. I could do it. So there's a few things like that I do find interesting from time to time, but you just have to sift through the rest of the record.
Yeah, that's the key.
You can find the black box.
Well, I mean, we talked about guys just like being not afraid to be different and think outside the box, and you know, to kind of go against the grain in a lot of aspects to start the show. And like that's part of like Mike being different in terms of his commentary, I can appreciate. But like it's how self-centered he is, the part that can be more cringe. And after a while, like within doses, far and few spread out. I mean, like really spread out, I can get on board with it, you know. But like it's a lot of just Mike, and you're just drowning, dude. You're just drowning in him talking about himself, and that's the part that can be a little rough. Obviously, the event was what it was. It was great. I want to talk to you a minute about Yapp, though, Mike, because obviously that guy, as we mentioned to start the show, he's just been on a tear. Wins the international for the third time. Yeah, he's lucky. All right. I'm trying to get him on.
He says lucky more than Efren does. I mean, this guy, you know, he's won 9 tournaments this year, and he's been lucky 9 times. No,
There's-
he's amazing. He had an amazing week. And one thing, not to go back to Siegel, but talking to him, it was like, this guy plays the game absolutely perfectly the way it's supposed to be played. His decisions, his angles, and he kept referring to like a Buddy Hall type approach to the game, where he gets himself on the perfect angle and doesn't leave. He's got a 4-foot shot with the right angle for the next ball. He really is very precise, consistent. And like Mark also said when I was, he's a guy who doesn't take any shots off. He treats every shot, whether it's a 2-foot hanger or a long shot, he treats them all exactly the same in how focused the ball to the next spot. And it showed. I mean, there were pictures online of him there at 1 o'clock in the morning, the only guy in the room, still practicing, working on stuff, because he's a tinkerer. He, from his cue to the way he plays the game to his break, he's always thinking there's room to improve, and he's always looking for ways to improve. He's just at the very top of his game right now, and everyone knew the talent was there, and they wondered if it was ever going to hit, but I don't think anybody thought it was going to hit like this. He's a dominant player at this point.
As much as you need to have luck in order to win, right? Like, and you do. When you don't add the unforced errors that he doesn't give the opponent, it makes it so much tougher. Like, he doesn't beat himself. And I thought in the final was probably his poorest match that I'd seen in quite some time, because I felt like he pressed a little bit early on and gave Fran a lot more chances than I thought Fran, I don't want to say deserved, but Fran took advantage of what he got. But I was surprised to see some of the choices that Yapp did in that final, especially through the first half of it. But
4-5 combination down the rail.
The bank shot. I mean, I thought he could have just
long combination
was
the one to me. The long combination was the one to me that I just didn't understand. And I talked to him later. He said, I wasn't sure where the safety was, whatever. He said, I didn't have an extension. I was running out of time, so I had to just commit to one shot, and that was the shot I committed to. And he said, I knew it was low percentage, but I just had to go shoot. So
he is the world number one, in my opinion, and he's the best player in
long shot
the year, and it's not even close right now. And I know that there's a lot of flawed ranking systems within our sport, but anybody who has 2 eyes, or as a matter of fact, all you need is 1 eye with that guy. You see that guy play in the way that he's played this year. He's the best player on the planet right now, and it's not easy to do. And he is, I don't want to say make it look easy, because he doesn't. He respects the game. He works at the game. He works on his game, which is very different. I know there's a lot of pros with a lot of great work ethic, but there's a lot who go out there and don't put in the time and the hours that this guy does, traveling all over the world. It's hard enough to win one event a year, Mike. He won that fucking event 3 times back to back to back, Mike. That's crazy to think about. That is so mind blowing, given how tough and how deep the sport is, and I know this one compared to other tournaments wasn't necessarily the toughest, but even in tournaments where everybody was there, he still had great runs. He still had other titles.
And it's so, you can't even ask, why do you win this tournament every year? It's not like, in tennis, he wins this 3 years in a row because he's a great clay court player, he wins this one, great grass player, or the same with golf. This course is longer to his. It's still a 9-foot table with the same 6 pockets and the same balls. So for him to win the same event in the same place 3 years in a row is really kind of crazy.
I like guys who go out there and earn it with their game, and he's not the flashiest player on earth. If he plays at a really high IQ, which is great.
Right.
I love it. I love seeing when I see him in a tough spot. I love kind of thinking about what's going on between the ears. And then you see what he does, whether it's safety play or shot execution, or when he chooses to play safe, when he chooses to press, which is rare. But then his level of execution, the long ball, I mean, you name it. The guy is jumping, everything. This guy just does at such an elite level. But he also puts it all together. There were early on, I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago, where I thought he had dog in him, and I thought he rattled a lot, and I thought he showed emotion, and he shows his nerve.
I mean, he'll be the first to tell you his confidence was never really high. He always
exercised those demons, Mike. I mean, so many times over now at this point, you know. And then you bring in the humility, you know, being so humble on top of that, you know, and it's like, how can you not help but root for the guy, you know?
It's some kind of year he's having, and someone mentioned it looked like last year at Reyes was kind of when he turned the corner. The Reyes Cup was actually after his win at the International last year. But going into the International last year, I think he had a lot of questions and a lot of lack of confidence about his play through the year leading up to the International. And then he won that. And then, the Reyes Cup was before the International last year, wasn't it? Yeah. So
you see guys, Mike, where they can kill, but then there's other guys who are killers. And there's a big difference there, you know, and you can see it in their demeanor, in their nonverbals, and especially with him, because he barely says a word, you know, you can see it in their eyes, you can see it in the way they execute. And it's just like everything is so everything in this sport is so microanalyzed, and it's just the smallest of percentages that make a difference because the standard is so unbelievably high, right? But like, he's different, man. He's different now than what he was a year ago. He's different now than what he was 5 years ago, and it's scary to see, Mike. But it's great to see at the same time because his matches are awesome, man. It's unbelievable.
He's having some kind of year, you know, and he, asked him what the ceiling was for Nate. He thinks he's still got a lot of room for improvement in every phase of his game. So, we'll see what that turns into next year. I mean, he's still young. He's closing in on 30, but he's still in his 20s. He's got a lot of big years ahead of him.
Look, there's so many things where like you can find an excuse, right? Like, oh, he's traveling all over the world, and that's tough to do. And he's had a full schedule.
He travels everywhere.
Yeah, he playing everything, everybody. Staying up late, going to practicing. I text him after the Bigfoot, trying to get him on in between that gap between the Bigfoot and the start of the 9-ball, and it didn't work out. I'm still trying to get him on the show, but it's always like he's just always going deep in every fucking thing that he plays in. You know what I mean? Like it's unbelievable. And even though the Bigfoot wasn't what we thought it would be, it's like it doesn't matter anything with rotation in that dude. He does great, man. He does unbelievably well. I couldn't be more happy for that guy. He doesn't do the social media thing. He doesn't go and do the talking thing. He doesn't go and do any of the outside of the table things, but he is the loudest dog in that yard when it comes to being on the table right now, Mike. And it is so hard to do. Yeah, he is the one who rattles. He doesn't get rattled. So, Mike, what were some of your other takeaways? Oh, I want to talk about the Hall of Fame for a second as well, unless you got more to add on with.
No, I mean, the event was great. I think that it's going to be interesting to see what happens to the event going forward.
What do you mean, Mike? Is it news the International may not come back?
No, I think it'll come back. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure about the location, whether it'll stay in St. Augustine or not. And I think that, given the way that the tournaments are going, I think, they would really do well next year to wrap it around another big event, whether it's before or after the Florida Open, the U.S. Open, whatever it is, find a spot to book, because I think it's sitting by itself at the end of the year was a real deal breaker for European players and certainly the Asian players. I mean, even Carlo. I mean, if it wasn't for the Hall of Fame banquet, I'm not sure Carlo comes over this time. So they're not making the trip for one event and turn around going home. So I think if they wanted to get the field back to where international should be and where it always has been, I think that they would do well to look for a bookend event to kind of put it onto.
I don't think that you need to piggyback the momentum of an event per se, but I will say that this time of year is not favorable for what the event
Yeah,
could
no,
be.
I'm not saying that they need it to get
Yeah,
more players.
because
You want,
the event by itself could like it could be something that other events go and piggyback off of in its own right because they're adding so much money,
correct.
so many different
Yeah,
disciplines, all these
correct.
things. You know what I mean?
Correct. Right. But yeah, where it's at now, when it's at now, is just kind of you know, it's kind of on an island, you know, and
It is, yeah.
and it's at the end of the year, makes it a little tough to do. So something that they may look into. I really didn't get much of a chance to talk to Pat about the future of the event, but some his nickname should be the Silent Killer. Anything but the Yapper. Okay.
The worst nickname in the history of the fucking world. And if I had to hear the Yapper one more time, I wanted to go and just jump off a bridge. It was the worst. And then what was even worse about him giving him the nickname the Yapper was hearing about how good of a nickname that he dubbed him. Oh, it's the best nickname in the world. I can't believe I came up with this stroke of genius. I'm just the greatest, person on the oh my god. It was the absolute worst. No, look, I think given I love seeing the 14.1. I love seeing Bigfoot. And they got all the pieces, a lot of added money. I just,
Yeah.
it was brutal. And then you throw in the free stream on top of that. I mean, goddamn, like this could have really been a home run. It was unfortunate that some of the players decided to check out, but I get it after a long year. I get it for the Europeans' sake. But like if you were to go and throw it in center cut or even first part of the year, whatever, it's like this would be a staple, and it's a decent payday in terms of the 9 ball by itself. But then you throw on other avenues where players can go and earn additional revenue, plus the action on the side. It's like it's got a lot of pieces together that could go and have it be like a derby type experience, not necessarily that long like derby, but in the same conversation as far as being like prestigious, and you can go and earn some money. You can get good bang for your buck if you're a player. You can play 14-1. You can play one pocket. You can play, the Bigfoot. And I feel like we can get the best players on the planet there, because it is decent money added to it on top of that. So but that was the only part like that I don't want to say, I guess I was a little disappointed, but I get why some of the players decided to skip out on it. You know what I mean? It's been a long couple years. So,
yeah.
Mike, you mentioned the Hall of Fame, and what's that?
Thinking about the other players not being there, and because this was WPA and WNT points, that was a big thing for players. Someone like Fran, is
Fran
in
had a
good shape,
great week, Mike, picking up WPA points and 25,000 for the European team for next year. It's a big week for him.
Right. So WPA points, he's not going to get left out of the World 10 ball next year. Right. So, it was a big deal for them. Then I'm looking at things like Team USA for next year. And between, the event in Florida, the smaller WNT event in Florida first, and then this, Torsten's almost a lock for next year's Moscone Cup already for Team USA. He's at about
picking up some coin. Yeah.
20,000 already. Yep, 20,000 already. He can off.
Look, you really could. That's the irony of it. No, I want to what I've said before, and I'll say it again. This is the part that's really going to be telling as to like how dedicated or how much guys really wanted to play for the team versus coast it, given like the leadership that was involved in the team. Like the guys who are still going to go out there and compete at and go out there and participate and play in WNT tournaments this year versus what next year is going to look like is what I'm going to be keeping an eye on, because given how Thorsten and Jesus, for that matter, have positioned themselves for the start of the year, I want to see if these other guys really had that fire in them or if they were just Cadillacing it because they knew how the year was going to go, And so, and given how the Americans don't perform in general, Thorsten, to your point, is sitting in a really good spot, and so it's going to be interesting to see how he can parlay that, what his schedule will be like as well, if he's going to go and capitalize on that to pick up more WNT points and play more regionals or just play majors or whatever. And so I'm excited to see how that's going to go and play out. But it could not have gone any better for him to go and start. That's for sure, Mike. I mean, he's been
No,
solid,
no
man.
doubt.
And I like seeing this is the other thing, like Thorsten winning the 14.1. He's a great straight pool player, but man, would I have wanted to have seen like all these other Europeans show up for the 14.1 as well, because that's a fun event when it gets like European heavy and even a couple of Filipinos in there. Like Levan plays great straight pool. It's like, man, I love seeing high talent with a different format that we're just or a different event that we don't get to see every year. And that's something that Pat, to his credit, has put his money where his mouth is in order to keep that event alive. And so if it is in a better spot of the year, I feel like you can get more buy-in from players, which will just make the fan experience that much better and just be, a snowball effect in a really positive way.
Yeah, that's the other thing that, I mean, she's talking about fan experience. I mean, they need to get more fans, and they need to get this event more to where the U.S. Open, International Open used to be in Norfolk in terms of, putting asses in the seats, because it needs to have more paid attendance for this event to keep going.
Yeah, and I hope so. That's one thing that, like, especially seeing American fans on social media, it's like they'll always bitch about, oh, Basham doesn't do this or that or whatever. And you can criticize all you want, but it's like, man, the events that we do have here in the US, at least if you're a regional fan, go out there and support it, go attend it, because it does go a long, long way, whether it's for the vendors or for the promoters, or just seeing more excitement. You know what I mean? I don't want to see it just die out, and especially when there's guys with passion that are willing to go and back it the way that Pat and his team have. So,
Yeah,
from the sponsors to you guys as well, Mike, for keeping the Hall of Fame associated with that event, which I think is just class. Like, I'm a big fan of seeing the Hall of Fame every year. I love the Mosconi Cup last year. I really wanted to go see Carlo this year just because certain things just mean like it's important, and celebrating careers, especially guys who Shane's still got a long career ahead of him, Carlo as well. But it's like celebrating these guys is super important, because they have earned it. And so, what was in a nutshell, Mike? What was his Hall of Fame speech like?
His Hall of Fame speech was very good. It was really good. It was humble. It was he talked about his youth and scraping for dollars and why he chose pool and his family, things like that. Nikki did the intro for her, which she was great. So yeah, I talk about every year. It's listening to these people, whether it's the introducer, which was especially cool with being, his wife and then him. You get to hear sides of them that you don't hear when you're just sitting around talking to them, or when you're doing even a magazine interview with them. You don't get that kind of.
They open up. If you can get Shane to open up, damn, Mike. I mean, you knock it out of the park with that.
So yeah, that was great, and there were a lot of players in there, and I think that it was really cool that there were a lot of players in that event, because I think that what it does is it kind of gives them a sense of their, when they play and they're in this, their 20s and 30s, they're kind of like in this vacuum of this is my space and time. And this gives them this gets them to understand that they're part of a much bigger picture than just this little, segment in time that they're involved in. And so I think it gives a different respect for the game and the history of the game and the richness of it, and that maybe they're part of something bigger and cooler than they even thought. So that part of it was really fun, really cool. I could see it in some of their reactions and their emotions during the event, that they really kind of enjoyed that takeaway.
I saw it too, even last year, and seeing some of the faces this year who were there at the dinner was cool. And it is important. It is a very important part of the sport. And like I mentioned before, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, what you do for that event, and hopefully the BCA as well, for stepping up, and all the sponsors who help put it together is phenomenal. And, I couldn't be happier to see guys go and get inducted. It is very prestigious, and it's cool seeing these guys go and get celebrated. And I want to, like, just on the note of Carlo real quick, because I got it here. I remember years ago, Carlo wins the World 9-Ball Championship, and this is before, like, social media was social media. But I remember reaching out to Nikki online, or maybe it was Carlo online, but I remember this is when he won his first
Sweet.
his first World 9-Ball Championship. And this is before, like, memorabilia was what it was now, where Federer signed stocks and everything else. And I remember reaching out to him, and they shipped it from the Philippines. And it's something that I really hold on to as a fan, and it's very important. And I love his game. I love guys who play the game in an exciting way, for one, who have respect for the game, for two, who work ethic, three, play for their family, for their country, like, who just do all the right things, and then they get rewarded with successes. And it's very, like, I don't want to be a victim of a moment here, Mike, but it's very, like, Yapp-like, if I'm being honest with you. You know what I mean? And so massive congratulations to Carlo. Big appreciation from one fan to a Hall of Famer, from me to you, because you do a great job in that regard as well, Mike. So, and mainly, more importantly, big thanks to Mike Siegel, because I heard Mike was the reason why you got inducted to the Hall of Fame from hearing the commentary this past week. So
did he say that?
He did say that he was solely 100% responsible for Mike Panozzo getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. So
why did he even bring my name up?
I don't know, Mike. I don't even remember. I remember but it's a true story. You really did say that. So.
I didn't even buy him the free dinner he's always bugging me about this year. So,
well, maybe he's still trying to make sure you remember now. So now, Mike, what's your Thanksgiving schedule like? What are you going to be doing this week?
I'll be in every day except Thanksgiving Day, but spending the day with my mother and all my brothers and sisters, and it'll be a good day. How about you?
I don't know. It depends on the girls. So if it ain't the girls, I'm just gonna be another normal day.
You haven't started thawing the turkey that you're cooking, or what?
No, the girls went back to their moms, so I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do just yet. And if they don't, then I'll probably just bug some friends for some plates or whatever. Part of being a single guy, I guess. But if not, then we'll see. We'll see what happens. I hope I get to see him at least, and I'm sure I will. But the reason why I ask, because there's another event going on in Spain, Mike. So I want to, if you're free tomorrow, I'd love to have you on, and we'll do another show back to back. And to MV,
there are a lot of these guys going straight from St. Augustine to Spain. Like, wow,
brutal. Yeah, following Florida and then to there, that's a tough stretch. So, anyhow, Mike, if you're around tomorrow, let's do another one. We appreciate all you guys and gals for hanging out with us. Big shout out to Nick and Scott for coming on the show, and we'll see all you guys a little later on.